Have you ever been alone in a room, 3 o'clock in the morning, watching TV by yourself? No one else in the house at all, or even the building for that matter. You live by yourself in your single story home, and your neighbor is about, a yard's worth from you. There's no one nearby who should be. Yet, for some reason, you feel like someone's watching you. Or that shadow over there seems to have been giggling when you smacked your toe on the furniture that you swear wasn't there when you left it last. But whatever, it's just, you're going crazy. Those such things aren't possible, right? Well, do I have news for you? For you see, this ain't the normal world we in anymore. Your world's about to expand in ways you do not have the ability to comprehend yet. My friend, magic, kinda sorta, is real. Not quite like you're thinking with the typical wishy-boo with a wand and whatnot, but a form of it, anyway. A very particular form, known as chaos energy conjuration. In fact, it's a subtype of, one might call it witchcraft or magic, but a very particular style of it. It's not sure that all our witchcraft and magic are actually possible, but for some reason, my friend, this one is. But you see, the Ezhune-Mortal setting is a world in which I have created. It's been a work in progress trying for tabletop role-playing games, or that I've adapted it for, but I've really been working on it as a way to make sense of the world. Why is certain deep thoughts necessary to exist? It's something I've always done. So I figured finally, well, I've got this world I've done, might as well share it. And now you, viewers of this video, get to see it in action. I'm going to be going over the lore and history of the world I have created, and a little bit about where you can use it in the tabletop role-playing game realm of possibilities. Would it work for D&D? Would it work for other systems? Like, what do you need to know? All the ins and outs will come to in time. But suffice to say, it is a creation of my own, and I thought I might as well share it. So, welcome to Ezhune-Mortal and the lore of it. So what is chaos energy conjuration? Well, suffice to say, it's a magic system of sorts. Anything from conjuring up giant fireballs to moving objects with your mind via manipulating gravity, or actually just the basic transferring from portaling one dimension to another by ripping a hole in the fabric of reality and then stitching it up again when you close it after crossing over. It could be sending out, hiding, going into shadows using shadowmancy, sneaking up on others. All of these are examples of chaos energy conjuration, and it is more of a combination of like martial arts and spellcasting. You have some techniques require a longer kata or a set of movements to actually pull the right energy. Others are simple, easy, and just takes a little bit of visualization and mental thought on what you want to do. You could be peering through dimensions, scrying. You could do any of this. It's pretty well open on what you can do. But how much you have depends on what type of conjurer you are for the amount of energy you have in a given day to use. Or at any given time. The weakest and most common of these would be Ezhune-Mortals. Basically, some individuals are born with the potential to become an Ezhune-Mortal. Spark, chaos, or just a general potential, whatever you want to call it, kind of. There's something in about you, or inside of you, or something where you have the potential to become an Ezhune-Mortal. If a triggering event occurs. Sometimes people who may have the potential may never become Ezhune-Mortal because they simply never had a event powerful enough to trigger them. What triggers such an event kind of looks like? Well, it's called an ignition, and you then thereafter have what is called a spark. That is your power source for what you can conjure of chaos energy. It comes from inside you. It is a spark somewhere in you. There's no way to know where or what. There's no tracking means to find it. It's just somewhere inside of you. And it varies on size, but generally speaking, they can range from a thumbnail to the largest is probably heart-sized. The strongest Ezhune-Mortal is the Mystic Zago of the Mystical Council of Oblivion from the Oblivion Alliance, as Oblivion Knight Hunter Guides. Which I'll get more into all of that later, but suffice it to say for now, he's a big shot, uppity up government official. And his right-hand man is Zaiji, another well-known researcher. But Zago happens to be a member of the Mythologic clan, and not everyone knows this. He kind of keeps it on the down low, but he is. Zaiji happens to be the head of the Shura clan, and happens to actually not be an Ezhune-Mortal. In fact, he is an Apocalypse thing, as we'll get into in a moment, the third type. But after you have an Ezhune-Mortal, Zago's being the biggest, his is the size of his heart, and he's a Minotaur. So fairly decent sized individual species. He's a big guy. Zaiji, on the other hand, is a Newtonian, or more like the fantasy elves, or like Tolkien, style. Tall, slender, long ears. But the tweak I find interesting that I made about them is that they actually breathe carbon dioxide and exhale oxygen. They're more like plants in what they breathe in and breathe out compared to humans. Rather interesting little flip to make them very different, very unique, very flavorful things. So, something to keep in mind if you do ever play a Newtonian. You've got some interesting, just from what you breathe in, that you can have fun role playing with and get creative with in many circumstances with different species. So be warned. But besides the point, you also have, in addition to these Ezhune-Mortals, what are slightly more uncommon, but also much more powerful, Chaos Beings. Now, Chaos Beings they were born with the ability to conjure. So they're something about the environment in which they were born, for some reason. Not really known fully why, but most common beliefs are factors ranging from chaos events going on at the moment involving chaos energy influx, a powerful being just giving massive caves of chaos energy during the entire pregnancy somewhere nearby. A just a very constantly influx of chaos energy, high chaos energy area of a planet. Varying factors like that can affect it. But again, no one knows fully why. These things tend to happen more common around these events, but the exact reasoning or like what it takes fully is still a little bit of a mystery. And chaos beings have some very influential individuals. There was a recent war, historically speaking, amongst the Oblivion Alliance that they still have people who remember going through, and quite a few remember the horrors. For the Utonians, it was absolute terror for the Utonian Empire. They thought they were about to be completely wiped out from these series of events, known as the three Great Wars. Specifically, the First Demon Wars, the Second Demon Wars, and then the Dragon Wars. All three wars were ended by one singular individual chaos being, known as the legendary hero Jagara. And he defeated the people responsible for starting each war. The same way, all of them. The first Demon Wars was started by an individual known as Mytho, the Exile Mythologic. The second Demon Wars were the 52 Demon Lords, and then the Dragon Wars was against the Ezhune-Mortal dragon Zagito. All of those 52 individuals are known as the 52 Cataclysms, and they are Ezhune-Mortals, a very, very, very powerful Ezhune-Mortals. But the Legend Hero Jagara was a chaos being, and completely decimated them. Absolute one-sided fights. Knocked and just utterly, completely defeated them using a technique known as Harvest. The full details of which basically you can summarize as, he went in, he harvested the spark of each one of these Ezhune-Mortals and taking it from them and then thus absorbing the power. He could give it to someone else or keep it for himself, and he kept using the power to defend others. There'll be a bit more of that we'll get into on later with some of the lore, but for now, let's just suffice to say he's an example of a very powerful chaos being. The third type of conjurer, however, is what is called an apocalypse being, and they are the rarest. In fact, they are so rare, there are only 9 of them that ever exist at any given moment throughout history. There's only ever been 9 at a time, and always have been 9 at a time. Never 8, never 10. Except for maybe like 5 minutes when one dies, when it takes for another, just very short time spans. There's always been 9. Because as soon as one dies, almost very soon after, another is born. if you ask any Apocalypse being, or they would simply look and say, the Chaos Accords say there's always going to be 9, so there's always 9. Don't ask me how that works. The Primarch set it up that way. Primarch's referring to the original Apocalypse beings, from the era of Ancients. They are very long time ago now, about 1,000 generations for the measurement that they use. So, about 1,000 people have come, and the exact measurement is generations of the non-clan, and there have been 1,000 beings who have been the head of the non-clan between then and now. You are currently on the 1,001st generation, and the Primarchs are considered Generation 0. The generation immediately after them would be considered Gen 1. And you are now on Gen 1001, for the non-clan at least. Other clans may have slightly different generation counts, but that is the one that is the most commonly counted. I'm referring to time because that's the easiest one that we have the best count of. Now, what makes an Apocalypse being so rare, and what is the connection to the 9 Great Chaos Clans of old that I keep hinting at? That's a very good question for next time. So, hope you're liking the series so far. Next time when we come back, I'm going to get a bit more into the overall ranking of that and the clans. So yeah, come on back and let me know what you think, and share your thoughts and inputs about the lore of this unique setting so far. So look forward to your input, and keep gaming.